And welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wandering the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, let's catch up with a fantastic animator with an impressive resume when it comes to projects and YouTubers that he's had a hand in that, quite frankly, would look like an amazing For You page on YouTube. Today's guest is DavidToons, an animator and Pokemon enthusiast whose impressive resume of YouTubers and projects he has had a hand in has led to several sensational opportunities for him. David is someone whose presence I became aware of thanks to the fact that he worked for The Odd Ones Out, previous guest of the podcast. Ever since I got to really get familiar with his stuff, I knew I had to have him on the podcast, and I'm glad we finally got this opportunity for you guys to absolutely love and enjoy. If you enjoy our guests, please make sure you support them in the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You might see that stuff, and you know it genuinely warms my heart. In fact, I highly recommend you subscribe if you have not subscribed already, considering the fact that we are currently on the hunt for 2,000 subs by the end of 2024. If we hit that mark, I will get my first tattoo as designed and decided by you, the community. And considering the fact that we are under 15 subs away from hitting that goal, now is a better time than ever to subscribe to the podcast and be a part of this fun opportunity today. And look, if you already are subscribed and you want to find a way to support the podcast a little bit more, may I recommend you check out the merch shop at fourthwall.com, that link in the description below. We have some amazing designs as done by some outstanding artists, including the brand new logo design as created by the fantastic Roshan Galaxy. So if you want to rep the podcast and look sensational in some streetwear today, well, check out that link in the description below. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. How you doing today, man?
Doing all right, yeah. I think I've just come back from the US, so I think my jet lag has just recovered. I feel like I woke up this morning not feeling tired.
I was gonna say you were in the US for Lightbox Expo, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because I remember seeing you post stuff about it and all that kind of stuff. See, what was funny is I was gonna obviously you had mentioned to me before, like, hey, if you ever want, I'm always down to hop on podcasts, and like you've always been someone I've considered having on the podcast at some point. But I was thinking about like the other week, because I was trying to find a guest after like Halloween stuff like that, and like just I was about to ask you, look on your Twitter, and it's like, oh, you're going to Lightbox Expo.
Yeah. Damn, so the one time you wanted me, I was away.
I mean, you're still here. You're here now.
I made it back to Australia. So we yeah.
You made it back in hopefully one piece. Well,
yeah. No, oh man, I'll tell you, 18-hour flight from the US to Australia, like going there, it was worth it because I was like 18 hours later, I was like, I get to see my mutuals, whatever. But like taking that flight back home, oh my God. I think that's why I've been recovering for a week, because I had like, I swear to God, there were like 6 or 7 like kids on my plane crying and kicking seats and running around. Oh. So when I got off the flight, I was just like,
See all the regulations that were going on during like the COVID times or whatnot, where they made like, people coming from outside of Australia in and like staying at like a hotel for a week. That's not for the COVID. That's so y'all could get adjusted before you can go into Australia with like a good, happy motivation.
Yeah, that's like it's a week to what is it? It's like a week to recover from the fact that you've gone into the future. That's one thing that did mess me up, like realizing that I missed a full day technically. So I was like, I went from Sunday instantly to Tuesday. So I was like, where did Monday go?
Like hearing that kind of stuff or whatnot, like it's not fully dissuading me from it, but it's one of the things that I'm always like, how am I going to react if I ever get the opportunity to go to Australia? Because that's one of my goals. I would love to go to Australia at some point and just like see a bunch of my friends that I've been able to make through the podcast or whatnot, enjoy the views or whatnot. Like there's a good chunk of my favorite YouTubers that are based in Australia, so like I see kind of the stuff that they're doing. I know I'm not gonna be able to get up to the same shenanigans, but still, like, seeing kind of what they're able to do like out and around town and like the environment that's basically there, like it just looks like a really cool place to be.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say because of Bluey, because a lot of my other American mutuals have said like, oh yeah, ever since I watched Bluey, you know, I suddenly have this urge to go to Australia more. I'm like, oh really?
No, my love for wanting to go to Australia was thanks to the Misfits, if you know that YouTube group.
Of course.
Yeah. Good Swagger Souls, all those people or whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's either Bluey, Misfits, or Cold Ones. Like, you know, anything reviews of Max Mofo.
I was gonna say, you know what? That's another valid one. Ironically enough, I was just watching their newest video right before I hopped into here. Because
you were getting prepared to talk to an Aussie. You were like watching Cold Ones and be like, all right, have to understand their slang.
Well, okay, you say that, but here's the thing: like one of my producers for the podcast, and someone that I basically consider my brother from an Aussie mother. Like he's based in Australia, so like if I am gonna learn Aussie slang from anyone, he's gonna be the guy I go to.
The translator, yeah.
Which is ironic because he's also trans. Anyways,
perfect.
Shout out to Aiden. Love you, buddy. Also, and I'm gonna say this, and again, you were joking about like the Aussie slang or whatnot. You don't have to worry too much about censoring yourself, all right? Like if a few fucks or if a few shits fly out, like you're all good, man.
So that was actually something I thought about this morning. I was like, I should ask if that's okay to, you know, throw in the occasional swear word, because I swear like a truck driver, dude. I will try to censor myself though.
Oh no, like here's the thing. Like my rule of thumb when it comes to swearing is whatever the comfort level my guest is at, that's where I'm gonna be at. So if you say a few fucks, I'm probably gonna say a few more fucks.
Amazing.
I've joked about this several times, but like my mom sometimes will complain about how much I actually cuss on the podcast, because for her it's like I can't really like recommend some people like your podcast if like they come in and it's like, all right, well, hell, it's this fucking artist. How the fuck are you doing today?
You need to like with every video just like have like an emoji be like 3 emojis means that there's going to be a whole heap of swear words, like 5 emojis. It's like kind of like the GTA system where it's like more stars, the more swears, you know?
That is so brilliant, and I love that. the official mom rating of how many swears there's gonna be. Just a heads up.
Isn't there a website where it's like a mom's review website? I remember hearing about this briefly. Like, there's a website dedicated to moms, just like rating certain pieces of media on the internet, and there was one for Jacksepticeye where all these mothers were like, he's too inappropriate for my child, you know, like so it'd be interesting to see one for each podcast, like from a mother being like, yeah, too much swear words in this one, couldn't recommend to my kids.
I would say you could have probably a whole entire site dedicated to my mom just going through each episode and be like, yo, this guest was really interesting, I'm glad to hear that, but for God's sakes, Nathan, can you stop cussing? Like, that's just basically gonna be most of the reviews.
That's like oh god, that's like whenever my family, or no, actually I'm more comfortable showing my mum the work that I do, but like my grandfather, when he wanted to hear about Has-Been, he's like he's not fully religious, but he's a you know, he's a man of God. So when he was just like, oh, I would love to see this Has-Been thing you worked on, I was like, no, I don't think I will. No, you don't.
It's like, I'd love to see this Has-Been thing. I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you would. Here's the name. He's like my name in the credits to prove that I actually did do it. But
yeah,
you never see anything other than that. Yeah.
That's the most I am comfortable showing you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, David. Before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, usually enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not fully stranded on a different island, I should say. It's like your own little personal like B&B paradise, like away from society for a little bit.
Right.
To make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help whoever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
Okay, so have to admit, I was watching the podcast yesterday. I was thinking about this question. I finally have an answer.
Okay.
I would like. Can this also include like a YouTube video, like just one YouTube video that I download and take with me.
If that's me, that I consider YouTube media. So if there's a particular video you have in mind, go for it.
Okay, so I would pick the longest Jerema compilation, just like a compilation of Jerema, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Because, like, you know, being on your own comfortable island, you know, great. But I think one thing I've learned from that Tom Hanks movie, like where he's on the deserted island, is
Right.
like having someone to talk to. And I feel like Jerema, since I also just watch him on a daily basis anyway, it's like Jerema's the kind of streamer where he can kind of have a conversation with you and you don't have to respond back. So
Yes.
I feel like I'd be less insane, you know? So
I mean, that's
I feel like that
extremely
could,
valid.
yeah. But other than, you know, a streamer, if like more creatively, I guess, I'd say probably Bob's Burgers, like a full season of Bob's Burgers, if that was keeping me going creatively, you know? I think
I was gonna say, I mean, either or, with either one of those are really good. Like, for example, the German one, especially if you find like the longest compilation. Do you realize how long that guy has been streaming and just how many random moments are going on? Like, I've had so many guests that I've had on here beforehand talk about Germa in one form or fashion, whether it be Australia's also owned Soda Sneb or Iris, aka Loot VT, just talking about how like Germa is almost like an inspiration for so many people, but also like just with how wild and like down to earth he is, like how relatable it is for you to just simply turn on a stream and, like you said, just basically have a conversation with him without saying a single word. Like,
yeah.
I can instantly see how that is a good like comfort one to go to. It does lead me to ask, like, super quickly, there has to be at least one Germa moment that like stands head above shoulders above the rest for you.
Oh shit. Okay, so recently there was one. I forgot the name of the game. It was like an old horror game that he was playing, but he kept going on and on about how he wanted to be streamer of the year, and he like turned to his camera and he was like trying to do like a breaking the fourth wall thing. He was like, "I'm talking to you sitting over there doing your work, or whatever," and then he just said, "David," and like I actually freaked out, and I was like, what the fuck? And like, you know, and then immediately afterwards he was like, how do I know that like there's a David here? I've got like 6 Davids in the stream right now. I knew I'd freak out at least one of them. And I thought I was losing my mind. But probably has to be hands down my favorite. Otherwise, you know, I feel like I can't choose like one skit. I feel like they're all just too good in their own unique way.
Yeah.
You know?
No, honestly, that is extremely valid. I love how I basically played the numbers game and like picked your name in particular. It's like I knew we were gonna freak one of them out, and you were just like, "You got that right, buddy."
Yeah.
But regardless, whether it's the longest compilation of Germa or at least one season of Bob's Burgers, those are your answer. You're locking that in.
That's my answer. I know you told me one answer. I gave you 2, so let's stick with Jerema.
Let's stick with the Jerema. I mean, I'm very loose when it comes to these rules, but also like I agree with both of those options. Both of them would be really good for this situation. But regardless, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at Postmod Art Pod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. He is an animator with an impressive repertoire of projects and YouTubers he has had a hand in helping or leading, from Spindlehorse Toons, Odd Ones Out, Ice Cream Sandwich, Tomska, and so much more. Welcome to the podcast, DavidToons!
Holy shit. I'm flattered. Thank you for having me on, dude. No, seriously, it's so awesome of you, dude. I'm like so motivated now.
well, first off, don't thank me. You're the one that did the work. I'm just spitting back to you all the stuff that you've done. You should be impressed with yourself. Like, good job, me. I did a great job.
Yeah, let's go.
But regardless, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know I'd mentioned to you before, but I know whenever I was I think this was around the time, I forget exactly whenever you reached out to me. I think it was whenever I had the Odd Ones Out in the podcast, if I remember correctly. I don't remember when you reached out to me, but One second, are you frozen?
This damn Australian internet. They heard me curse it before the podcast, and like was like, all right, let's screw this guy up.
How dare you?
How dare you, mate? Turning it off. No, I think we should be good if I can be heard.
Oh no, yeah, you can be heard. That's the good part.
Yeah.
I guess the camera's going off, and that, you know what? Understandable. Anyway, sorry, folks. You got your peak beforehand. Technical difficulties is instructing otherwise. But like I was saying before, I was rudely cut off. I think it was around the time that the Odd Ones episode was out, if I remember correctly. I remember that you had reached out to me and just simply been like, "Hey, this is incredible," and also if you're looking for someone to potentially talk to in the future, I'd be down for that stuff. And obviously, I wasn't going to say no, especially seeing your impressive resume more than anything else and all the stuff you had a hand in. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This is an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Of course. And, since we're talking about impressive, because I did see the James one, then afterwards I kind of looked further down the podcast rabbit hole and saw all these mutuals that were on. I was like, holy shit. It's so cool how you've gone to interview all these amazing animators. So I'm very honored to be part here today. Hell yeah.
Look, all I just gotta say is it's very easy for me to be friends with your mutuals when all I have to do is just reach out like you did to me. So it's the circle of life. Anyways, I would absolutely love to talk about all those mutuals and all those opportunities you've had. But before I really devolve into that, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of David. What got you interested in art and animation in the first place?
Oh, so what got me interested, I think my backstory starts in 2012 when I started to really dive into the world of YouTube.
Okay.
And I think I literally just got a YouTube recommended for Eddsworld one day and suddenly got stuck in ever since. Yeah. No, but even before then, it was I guess the smaller things like Astive movie, not realizing Tom was a part of Eddsworld and ASDF movie. Yep. Things like Dick Figures. Really, a lot of my inspiration comes from online media, like Newgrounds cartoons. Of course, The Simpsons and Astro Boy and a few animations like that also had influence, but I'd say internet animation's definitely number one.
I will say, it's okay, first off, you took me to a blast from the past whenever you said Dick Figures alone, because that was one of the ones that I remember early on just watching, and especially the weird legacy that online show has had, considering the fact that the guy that created would go on to do stuff like Unikitty, and one of the voice actors on there is fucking Eric Bauza, who is everywhere now. I mean,
oh my god.
Yeah,
you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and to think that Eric Bauza, at least on that show, was voicing a raccoon with a Chinese accent. You take that or Japanese accent. Take that as you will. I mean,
oh my god. I think what also got me is what's his name? Ed Scudder, being head of writing on the Mario movie. That was a shock to see.
Yeah.
Happy to see it.
Oh, of course, happy to see it. It's good to see that people that started off doing fun little animation stuff like that are still in the animation business doing incredible stuff. I mean, it's a good testament with what you were talking about was kind of the early animations that you were exposed to, especially Eddsworld. I was gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw some of your early animations, and we'll talk about some of those or whatnot, I could see a very, very strong influence of Eddsworld. What was it about that show that really really pulled you in and got you absorbed in that world?
I'd say from the artistic standpoint, I don't know, there was just something about the digital animation kind of pulled me in, and I was like, oh, yeah. I feel every artist, not every artist, but some artists start off by kind of being heavily inspired by one particular show or one particular creator. So for me, it was definitely Eddsworld, like you said, seeing my earlier videos. But I think the reason Eddsworld kind of reeled me in, and I've spoken to a few animators where some of them could relate to this, but in school, I was always the weird one, I didn't have many friends, and I feel Eddsworld was kind of the friends that I didn't have in school. Again, kind of similar with like what I said about Jeremy, where it's like kind of a conversation that you can be part of. I feel like with Eddsworld, it was like with the way that the show was, it was like you were brought along onto his and his friends' adventures, you know? So that was just something that like got me in, and I would rewatch Eddsworld animations every day, pretty much.
I mean, that's honestly extremely valid, especially with like just how fun that show's seen, plus obviously the legacy that kind of have even well after Ed himself sadly passed away. Like the fact that they're still like a good strong team at making some of those animations to this day is a good testament to just how unique and beloved that world is at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, no, it's it's inspiring. It's like it's amazing to see that there is still such a large fan base. I tell my friends, like the friends who still work at Eddsworld, I tell them that like it's amazing to see how dedicated the fan base is, and like I feel like a similar fan base I see as dedicated on the internet is Hell of a Boss.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's amazing to see like how much like the community comes together to lift these indie shows up, no matter how long they've been out for. You know, it's awesome.
Absolutely, and trust me, we'll be talking about that fan base and then some when it comes to the Hella verse in a bit. But I'll sticking with what we were talking about. When did for you go from this like general love and appreciation and just like absorbing some of this online internet stuff to a passion of wanting to make it your career?
That's a good question. I think it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like it started off with just downloading episodes of Eddsworld because I didn't have internet at home, so I'd like rewatch the same episodes over and over. And then like I think because I rewatched some of these episodes over and over, I just like one day had this passion to like it started off with like redrawing frames from episodes traditionally, and like then it moved slowly over to like, what are they called, like OC self-inserts?
Yep.
Which I definitely did, and I'd say like the animating passion probably started 2 years after I found Eddsworld. So I found Eddsworld back in 2012, late 2012, and then began animating in early 2014. So for a full year it was discovering that I wanted to be an artist, and then 2014 I was just like, you know what, I want to do more than art. I want to try and do this whole animating thing. So I didn't have my computer or whatever. All I had like was a school iPad, so I would like just kind of draw frames in like Procreate before it had the animation UI.
Right.
Yeah. So it was it was a very slow start for me, I think.
I mean, we all got to start somewhere, slowly but surely. I mean, look at where you are now. Obviously, it helped out in the end.
Yeah.
For context, and I'm also curious about this. So, obviously, you said you got interested in Eddsworld about 2012, and you really got started with the animation stuff around 2014. How old were you around that time when you really decided, okay, maybe I want to, get into animation more?
So I'm a 2000s kid, so whenever I say 2014, think like 14 years old.
Okay, literally 14,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's honestly extremely about. It's not like I was looking at you think, okay, so this guy obviously was born in like 1979 or something like that. No, like I knew.
I mean, I've been told that. Like, I've had people that have come up to me, depending on whether my facial hair has grown out or not, where they're like, I can't tell whether you're either 35 or like 17. I'm just like, okay.
Regardless, the fact that, like, again, around 14, you really more or less, like, dedicated yourself to, wanting to be an animator in one form or fashion. And I can really tell, especially with some of the early animations that you've done, kind of where that further inspiration came from. I could tell that, like, there was that weird, beautiful mesh when it comes to, obviously, YouTubers and animators. I mean, obviously, Eddsworld was, like, a big start in that, but was there other animators that more or less, like, influenced you or inspired you when it came to, like, animating in general?
Yeah, I'd say like shortly after I discovered Eddsworld, that's when I discovered more YouTube animators. So, obviously, I found out what like Acid Movie was. Then I discovered the Tomska channel and all of the skits that he did with animations. And actually, other people like Pymations.
Yes.
Actually, it was Pymations. He used to have this Flash tutorial on his second channel, and he was probably the reason why I started animating in Flash 8. Because for between 2014 and 2015, I was all just animating on my iPad with the limited amount of softwares they had for animation back in the day. Right. And then, Pymations became a huge influence. Trying to think if there's any other YouTubers. Those are the main ones, I gotta be honest. For a couple years, it was very broad.
No, honestly, that is extremely valid. Like, you listed, like, two of the big ones that I would love to just even have an opportunity to just talk to at the end of the day. Tomska and Pymations. Like, those two are phenomenal when it comes to just their content in general, but especially, like, their animation stuff. One of the best out there. I can also imagine there's other, like, just YouTubers in general that were just fun to enjoy, and like especially to kind of delve into their realm and see what it'd be like to take their scenarios and really animate it. Because I noticed that with some of like your early animations and whatnot. Like, for example, one of the videos that I instantly clicked when I saw it was your interpretation of the Vanos Gaming, Mr. Anderson. We've been expecting you.
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting that one exists.
I did my research. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Definitely Vanos Gaming. There are a few other YouTubers as well, like a lot of Gmod creators as well, like Miss Breezy, for instance, or like Zach X Fuller. I don't know if he's going by that username nowadays or if it's just Zach Fuller, but yeah, a lot of like Minecraft, GTA, and like Gmod creators I got influenced by. And I think the only reason I started animating these gameplays was because my friend Billy Crinion like did a Jacksepticeye animation. I was like, whoa, you can just like take audio from a gameplay and animate it, and like if you saw my channel, you could definitely see it went down that adventure with like Game Grumps and a few other creators here and that.
I was gonna mention great Game Grumps more than anything else, because especially looking through your channel, seeing the influence they more or less had on some of your content, especially like early on or whatnot, I can see that they were a really like, because obviously like one of the things that Game Grumps is known for is having so many different people make animated stuff of like their gameplays and such. I mean, I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they actually like pay people to like get some of like the Game Grumps like official animated stuff. I could be wrong in saying that, but I'd like to hope so, that they get paid.
Yeah. No, I those Game Grumps, those Game Grump animateds definitely like had a huge influence. But I'm like, if I'm thinking correctly, I think it was like I didn't even know the Game Grump animateds existed before I started animating. And then like midway through like starting my first one, I saw how many there were, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And like, it was definitely an inspiration for me. Like I was inspired to one day get on the Game Grumps channel. I'm still hoping.
The channel's not over yet. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, God love him.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, it's certainly not to a lack of trying. I mean, you've definitely taken a good bit of like moments and just like random conversations between the two and just giving them some like fun stuff. One of the ones that I clicked on that I just loved is the "Hello there, I shit my pants." That classic moment. Although I will say another one that I was really impressed with and actually kind of surprised whenever I saw it is not just when it comes to Game Grumps, but also like their musical stuff as well, like with Star Bomb, but more importantly, the Ninja Sex Party collab that you did, that you were one of the leaders for. Like that, I just gotta say it, because this is not the first time this has been brought up on this podcast. I remember talking to, I believe they go by Ames Heard now. I want to make sure I get that correctly, but yeah, Ames Heard like being a part of that collaboration. What was the inspiration for the Ninja Sex Party collab, and how did that whole entire project go down?
Yeah, so I mean, it starts back with the Starbomb collab, which was like I saw that Game Grumps had or a bunch of Game Grump animators had come together to work on that first big Game Grumps. I think it was like they animated a 12-minute gameplay, and there were like 50 plus animators that came together. So when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that looks fun to organize. Like I don't know, I became one of the I don't know, I just had an inspiration to start with Starbomb, and we had all these animators that came together. We worked on, I think it was Glass Joe's title fight, and then one of the Simple Plot songs. And after that, a few people were asking if there was going to be a third Starbomb collab. And at that time, I was really into, Ninja Sex Party. So I was like listening to Danny Don't You Know and pretty much every song that they made. Right. So just, I guess at that time, it felt right to start that collab together. I still can't believe the animators that came together for that one, because it was just like, I don't know. I did reach out to a few of them. Like I think I reached out to Greg Zilla, and like people like Shusharu. That was, I'm trying to think how long that was. Like, I think it was like 8 or 9 months of just everyone getting their scenes in. Really, with these collabs, it's just about, dividing the scenes up and like throwing the audio to the animators and letting them finish whenever they get them done. I think, I'm trying to think if there's any other creative process. I think that's about it.
I mean, it's extremely valuable, especially for something, because like I've talked to a good couple of other people about whether they have been on like reanimation or collaboration projects like that, or like people that have led the projects. Most notoriously, at least for me, is Roya Shahidi being in charge of the episode of Kirby that they basically reanimated. Like it's always going to be an interesting process, but I mean, the end result was absolutely outstanding. All the different animators you were able to get on, all the different styles that were basically on display, some of which that like, people that love, the Game Grumps anime and stuff, they would instantly recognize like some of the art styles and some of the animators that they had on board, while also showcasing people that they may not have heard about before, but still had that good love and passion for, Ninja Sex Party and all that kind of stuff. Plus, you picked a great song, obviously, with the Danny Don't You Know. Like, obviously, there's a lot of good Ninja Sex Parties, but that was like, there was not a better choice. I agree with whoever was making that choice of like the perfect reanimation collab, whatever you want to call it, project.
No, I think I chose that song because like, just like a lot of people, Danny Don't You Know was a song that could really connect with people who were both either in school and still dealing with like, I don't know, not just like kind of being bullied for being themselves, or like, they connected to it because it was like they had grown up from that, they realized that they were always amazing on the inside. And I think when I chose that song, it was like I just finished high school, started college, and realized my potential, and like, all these people that I was surrounded by, not all of them, but there were a number of people that thought what I did was weird. And, when I was in college, I suddenly realized like, I'm not weird, I'm awesome as fuck on the inside. Then that's why I chose the song. And I knew that other people could connect to that song as well.
I mean, and obviously seeing the amount of the fact that it's gotten like over 1 million views at this point, like so many people like seeing the incredible work that you guys put into it. I mean, obviously, I don't think it needs to be said, except it's been like what, a year since you guys released it. But regardless, great, or a good couple. Has it been a year? Has it been a good couple of years? I'm trying to think where you did that. Either way, regardless, good job, fantastic job that you guys did on that one.
Thank you. Shout out to the animators.
Yes, absolutely, shout out to the animators. Now I'm curious. Obviously, like seeing that you have that love and you have that drive and that inspiration to not only work with animation, but work with some of these, loving for these YouTubers, and especially the kind of content that they put out there, and having your own like reimagining, re-envisioning of this stuff. When did the opportunity come for you to actually get a chance to start working with some of these YouTubers and like helping out with some of their content?
Yeah. So it actually starts back in 2014, because one of the first YouTubers I talked to was Tomska. And like, Yeah, when I became a huge fan of Eddsworld, I was I was one of these cringy like 14-year-olds or whatever that like emailed Tom because you could see like his email was open to the public. So I was like, oh, I'm a huge fan of Eddsworld. I'd love to animate one day for the show. And being a 14-year-old, I was like hoping for a response, but it's like YouTubers back then. Even now, you're still really too busy to respond to one email, but Tom replied to mine and was like, hey, I appreciate the support for the show. If you keep, because I think I showed some of my art to him as well. He's like, if you keep up, improving and like becoming a better artist, I'm sure, or not saying being a better artist, just like if you keep at your art career, I'm sure one day we'll get the opportunity to work together. So
that's
what was it? Yeah, no. So that was a huge creative motivation for me to get that email, and it drove me to become a better artist. And it'd actually be in 2015 or 2016 where I'd get to work on the Eddsworld Legacy comics. I like worked on a comic with Tom because he remembered who I was, and I was like, hey, I've been working at my art style. And he was like, all right, yeah, we'll get you to work on a comic, sure. So like I think I finished it in one day because I was so excited, and he was like, whoa, all right, dude. Like he realized he wasn't like, I don't know, he wasn't working with like a professional artist. He was working with just a very excited Eddsworld fan. I was like, yeah, here it is. It was like, oh, holy shit. Like, okay. And yeah, no, so Tom was actually my first client that I had worked with. And then I think it really started in 2017 when he needed a background artist for Crash Zoom. Okay. I was able to DM him and was like, hey, I'm not a background artist, but I know how to color backgrounds. And he was like, all right, screw it, why not? So, I think I owe a lot of my, I say owe a lot of my career, but like it's thanks to Tom. He was one of these people that gave me an opportunity, and I've had the pleasure to work with him so many times over the years. Like, for instance, as well this year. So he actually messaged me about it recently too, and was just like, it is just bizarre. It's just bizarre to see this like 14-year-old that was a huge Eddsworld fan suddenly jump to like all the projects you're working on now. He's like, I feel so proud. And I was just like, dude, you can't say that.
Like,
my god!
Like, if nothing else, it has to be like a really cool, like full circle moment. Like the one person that really got you interested in down this path, actually giving you the opportunities to the point to where he could look back and just be like, "You've really grown up, man."
Yeah, like a proud parent. He was just like, I think he was like, it's cool to say that I was the first one that got to work with you. I'm like, what do you mean that you were the first one that got to work with me? I got to work with you. Like, yeah. And then from there, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, Eddsworld was pretty much the next big YouTuber, I guess, that I got in contact with. And that one was kind of by mistake, where it was like, it was 2019. They just started a Discord server, and I was like, I'm just going to poke my head in there to see what the fandom's like, because I was out of the fandom for a couple years. Right. And when I joined, everyone kind of noticed the username, and they're like, "Oh, hey, David's here," because of my animations or whatever, which got me in contact with one of the producers. And with Eddsworld, it was like, it was both Tom and Eddsworld that really got me to get in contact with YouTubers. Like, it was once I got those names on my portfolio that I started to send that out to people, right. And kind of just slowly making my way up. I guess.
Again, another full circle moment. The show that got you interested in this kind of stuff in the first place. Hey, you're getting the opportunity to work on this kind of stuff and continue the legacy in one form or fashion. That's
yeah.
It's real. Like, I can only imagine, especially just you talking about it right now. That has to be like super surreal more than anything else. Just thinking back on that.
Oh God, yeah, no, for sure. Actually, when I started doing art for Eddsworld, went through my old art books because I had been, like I said, I'd been out of the fandom for a couple years, so I kind of lost touch of the art style and was like, all right, I need to know how to like draw in the style again. So I like looked through all my books when I was 12, 13, obviously watched through Eddsworld animations. And yeah, no, it was just at that point for me and a lot of the friends that I had made from Eddsworld, like some of these people getting to work beside them on the new season of Eddsworld, it was a very uplifting moment. And it was like one of those situations of like, I don't know, it was one of those situations of like, I feel like I peaked. You know? And that's how we all felt. We kept saying that to one another. We're like, we peaked. It can't get any higher than this. Like, this is awesome. You know?
Can we get much higher? I will say though that like I said again, it's gotta be really cool. It gotta be really surreal. But if that's your peak, I feel like ever since that moment, you've more or less like plateaued with some of the really cool like opportunities you've had, like both with that, and especially after that or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like since we're talking about, you know, kind of that same realm or some of that same fandom, I feel like we gotta talk about one of the big realms that you've kind of more or less been able to dip your toes into. When did you get the opportunity to step into the Helliverse and help out with the Has-Been Hotel Hell of a Boss stuff?
Yeah, if you want to talk about, oh God, like I think the Helliverse was the, like, not to self-doubt, but back then, like maybe 2018 when I saw Has-Been Hotel, like the pilot, I was like, oh, that's a cool show. I will never work on something like this. Not because I didn't like it. I was just like, I think my art style is very different. So getting the test for the Helliverse was like, it was such a surreal moment. That was back in 2022.
Okay.
And like, you know, I think maybe my application, it was like the third one I had sent out to them over the couple years. So at that point, I was kind of like, all right, just going to throw my application in and kind of forget about it, you know, so then I'm not awaiting a response. And then when I finally actually did get a response, I was just like, wait, no, this wasn't supposed to happen. And they're like, hey, here's your test. I'm like, wait a minute, you can't do that. Yeah, I think it was just like with the Helliverse stuff, it was just throwing my chance into a hat and like getting my name called out for that was just random chance. Especially considering back then I didn't even know how to animate in Toon Boom. Like, wow. I got the test. I was panicking slightly because I was like, okay, I got the test. Now I need to know how to use Toon Boom. So I reached out to a couple friends of mine with like slight experience in Toon Boom through college. I got on call with them. I was like, okay, you're a Flash animator and you're a Toon Boom animator. Like, teach me how to use Toon Boom, but explain it in like Adobe Flash terms.
Right.
And somehow that worked, you know, just like a couple hour session sitting with a friend. And, you know, I sent my test out. I was like, you know what? Again, it was the situation of like, when my test was done, I sent it out. I was like, you know what? If I don't get the job, like, it's incredible the fact that I got to even be given the chance to do a test. Like, I was really just proud of that alone. And then I get the email being like, yeah, you're in. I was like, wait, no, that's not meant to happen. You weren't meant to hire me. Come on, man.
It's like you sat the test like, all right, whatever happens. Like, you got the job and you're like, this wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. And you know, I applied for Hell of a Boss and then it was like, oh, actually, we want to start you off on Has-Been. And I was like, what, Has-Been? Oh my God. Like, it was just like more and more shock. Like, and yeah, no, so it was just by dumb chance, I guess, of like being given an opportunity to like join the Hellverse and improve as an artist over the years, which I feel like the Hellverse has definitely helped my animation skills severely, working with so many talented people.
Working with so many talented people, working on so many unique and intricate designs, more or less, like really trying to nail down like that. That
when you say that, I just think of Fizzaroli.
I would say
I love that character.
Yes, I imagine you love that character, but God, the amount of angles and lines you've had to deal with that character alone.
I I remember there was like one episode where all my shots were just Fizzaroli, and I both love the character, so like I had so much fun animating it, but at the same time I was like, you know that gif of the cat in a wheelchair like rolling over and then he kind of like flops down? That was me. Like after finishing every shot, I was like, it's done.
You like whenever you were done, you were like that image of Squidward holding up like the papers or whatnot after he just got done with whatever he's just like, it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh god.
Like I can only imagine how like you kind of mentioned or whatnot, it's really cool to see more or less like being able to immerse yourself in that world, especially with the strong support that's behind it, but really getting the chance to really improve on your skills while also having a hand in some really cool shots and some like really amazing situations or what. I can only imagine for you, like what has to be like the coolest moment that you've been able to have a hand in so far that you can reveal, because I imagine there's probably some episodes where you're like, I can't say anything about it yet.
Yeah, I'd say, surprisingly enough, it was the Weird Al thing I did this year.
Yes!
What is it? Weird Al. Yeah, that was... They had sent me a DM alongside a few other animators, and they're just like, hey, just a heads up, like we're assigning you to this project. And since it's Weird Al, there's like, it has to be kept secret until the music video comes out. So like you cannot tell a single soul. And I remember like reading this message to myself in my head while I was in call with friends, and suddenly I just audibly gasped. I was like, oh, and they're like, you all right? I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, because I love Weird Al. It was just like, it was so insane to have the two mixed together of like animating for the Helliverse team, and just an insanely amazing musician.
Yeah. I will admit, whenever that stuff first happened and people were freaking out about like, wait a second, Spindlehorse, like basically Viv had a hand in this Weird Al thing, and then obviously, you know, people after the fact was like, well, yeah, Viv, you know, was like the lead person, like designs or whatnot, but obviously it was animated by this person, that, you know, this, regardless, the fact that the Spindlehorse team had a hand in that thing, it was insane to see like that a studio or that like a team of that size, I guess, at that point, or like the fact that an independent studio at that point was able to help out with such a big artist like that with a fun little segment, but like still help out in the first place. Like you had mentioned or whatnot, it's gotta be like super weird and super surreal, because in fact that I can only imagine how much of a Weird Al fan you are. I mean, you're also talking to one right here. That there's no shame in this. There is no shame in this
Hell
podcast.
Yeah. If you're not a Weird Al fan, for any viewers at home, you know, this is where you take your lead.
I mean, for God's sakes, I had an episode earlier this year with someone that made a stop motion fan music video for Weird Al's My Bologna, or my Bologna. Yeah, you remember that one? You remember that video?
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, shout out to Isaiah, fantastic artist. Like seriously, if you guys do not know, I'll probably have their episode linked in the description, just as a, you know, cool shout out, because they're a fantastic person.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really cool to get a chance to like work out with some of these cool things or whatnot, but I'm also wondering, when the mix of all this extra cool stuff, did you get an opportunity to work with, well, to be blunt, some really big YouTubers on top of that? Let's start with the one that you and I have quite possibly the best connection to. How did you get an opportunity to work with the Odd Ones Out?
So James, James found me, I think.
Oh, really?
Obviously, I knew who he was over the years because he made such a big, like, he was the lead of Storytime Animation. Yeah. And, you know, still stands proudly at the front, I believe. But, like, it was like either 2021 or it was 2022. I like saw that he had subscribed to me, and I was like, oh my God, like, hello. And I kind of freaked out a little bit. And I made a quick tweet, which I was like, yeah, so this is the thing that's happened, I guess. James would later tell me that, you know, he found me through my Pokémon Mystery Dungeon animations, and like, which is funny because that's how I've gotten a lot of connection with people. They've been like, yeah, Mystery Dungeon fan too. So
okay, hold on. Let's pause this story because I did eventually want to mention this at some point. But yeah, I'm not sure if people notice, especially by your icon at this point. But you seem to be a very big fan of Pokemon.
What's Pokemon? I'm a Digimon fan.
Oh, sorry. I think you might know it by its more familiar name, Pocket Monsters. Does that sound more familiar? Does that rattle your brain a little better?
Oh, yeah. No, there we go. Yeah, I've heard of it.
No, but in all seriousness, what is it about Pokemon that like creative or that you just feel a good strong connection to? I think that'd probably be a better way to ask it. What is it about Pokemon that just makes you feel that you have a good strong connection to?
I think it was like, again, similar to Eddsworld, where it was like the media, especially in younger years, I wasn't a part of many friend groups. So Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, that if you want to talk about games that like, if you want to talk about media that really brings you in like a friend, like I feel like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 100% does that.
Yes,
because like you've got this partner that like you kind of talk to all throughout the game and like throughout its lore. So yeah, what was it? I was like any other kid in 2000. Did it come out in 2008 or 2009? Around then, I had bought the game as well. And the Pokemon that I kept getting in my personality test, I didn't cheat, but I kept getting Riolu in my test. So hence the Lucario all these years later. But like I'd stopped for a couple years, like went through my teenage phase where I was like, oh, I don't want to play Pokemon, that's for kids. And then I think it was around when I was like 17 or 18, I really embraced it because of Pokemon Go coming back. I was like, fuck yeah, let's play Pokemon again. So, and then Mystery Dungeon, that was like a community. That was actually, I think Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, like the hype came back for me again, maybe in 2020. And I didn't even really think that there was a large community behind it. And then I found the community. I was like, oh my God, it's still thriving. And then I would find out that it's actually just the furry community disguised as the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon community. That's literally what happened. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a furry now. Cool.
Let's see what it's like the reveal of a villain in Scooby-Doo or whatnot. Let's see who's really hiding under here. Oh, it's the furry community.
Yeah. Legit.
I mean, to be fair, you gotta kind of understand where they're coming from. They get to, in this game, live out the reality of basically just being an animal. That's just the description of what furries are. I mean, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I guess I didn't really realize that when like people were like, oh, you're furry. I'm like, oh, I am. And for years I kind of like just messed around with like, because I don't know, I kept seeing people giving me attention if I was like denying being a furry. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just like make this a meme. And I think the only reason I really jumped into the furry community and stopped that meme was because they got to a certain point that my work was taking up more of my time. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I see all these cool animators with like animal mascots and icons or whatever. I'm like, being a Lucario, fuck yeah. You don't see many animator Lucarios out there. So why not?
There you go. Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying it's not out there, but it's very rare to see just Pokemon in general with jobs that aren't just being Pokemon. Although it'd be interesting to see like what a Pokemon animator would be like in the Pokemon realm. Like how exactly would that job go down? Would it be like the one monkey with like the giant hand just like trying to like animate or whatnot, or would it be like what's the one Pokemon with like the paint tail brush? I'm trying to remember what their name is off the top of my head.
I know which one you mean, but I can't remember the name for the life of me.
Regardless,
definitely those guys though.
Definitely those guys, absolutely. And I will say, when it comes to Mystery Dungeon, like you say, you were surprised to see the community or whatnot. I'm not, because that game, like for those that definitely did play it or whatnot, it hit different. It hit different more than anything else. Like the way that it told like the story, the fun little like roguelike, action that more or less had, just the way that it, like told such an emotional story too, especially that first one. Like, good lord.
Yeah, and like I think the animations for Mystery Dungeon, it was definitely during pandemic times where I was like, okay, I finished animating stuff for Eddsworld, because I think I was doing Eddsworld and the Amazing at that time. So whenever I'd get scenes done for them, just be like, you know what, I'm gonna take a random vine from like 2012 and like animate it in a Mystery Dungeon theme. So I did that for a full year, and I think I might have burnt myself out from doing that. But I was just so motivated with like the Mystery Dungeon community, because like, again, I didn't know that they were there before, and it was like, I feel like that was a community I could definitely hang out with the most, and I don't know, just relate to the most.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, I know whenever I was again doing my research for this stuff, I remember seeing the the Bidoof one basically doing Jared, can you please read page 53? No, I cannot.
Actually, fun fact about that one, I think I was talking to I forgot their username, and I don't know if their actual name is out there, but I was speaking to like one of the animators that work for Jaden.
Okay.
And like I was like trying to figure out I was like, I don't know how to draw Bidoof from this angle. And this animator was like, yo, actually, I think I had to draw Bidoof for like a scene for Jaden. So like he's just like a couple of angles that I had to draw. And I was like, oh shit, that's the one I need. Thank you. So Storytime YouTubers were reaching out and helping out, I guess, before I knew it.
I'm gonna take a guess because this is like the only Jaden animator that I know up until recently. Was it like Pivots, who's now goes by Pink Poppy?
No, but
Okay.
Pivots and I can't remember the username for the life of me, but Pivots, oh, I keep saying Pivots as well. Pink Poppy and I, like, you know, I've known that fella for years. It was actually, I just met up with him for the first time recently, which was so cool. Surreal. It was, but no, it wasn't.
Okay.
Pink Poppy.
I fucking love like the Pink Poppy channel, especially like the shorts he's been able to do with that. Is everything good on your end? I'm hearing like the
yeah. No, I think someone is. Oh, I think someone is on my roof.
Oh, lovely.
Doing repairs. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No,
I can turn down.
No, I'll say you're perfectly good. I don't mind working around that. I just wanted to make sure that like there was nothing going on. Like someone was trying to like knock on your door and be like, "Hey, we have a package for you," or something. No, like
it does like my apartment. It's not thin walls, but you can definitely hear every thud and like I don't know. Okay. You can just hear everything through the walls. So I think there's some repairs going on at the moment.
That's perfectly fine. It's no big deal. That we get. It's no big deal. Okay, maybe no.
Oh my god.
No. I was gonna say no. Pink Poppy. I love like the animations he's been doing ever since he really like embraced that persona more than anything else. Again, another cool person I'd love to chat with. But seeing obviously how those Mystery Dungeons animation led you to the cool opportunity to work with, again, James, the Odd Ones Out. Let's get back to that story. So he found you because of those Mystery Dungeon animations.
He found me because of those. And while I was working on Hasbin, I was like learning a lot more about Toon Boom. So I think it was because I had made a tweet being like, I finally have opened my eyes up to the world of like Toon Boom. I feel like I'm leaving the world of Flash. I like made this tweet. And then James DM'd me and he was like, "You use Toon Boom?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was just like, "Well, I need a new animator on the team if you're interested." I say that like pointing my fingers together. You just imagine that, yeah. So I was like, back then I had a few clients, so I felt really bad to be like, "Hey, I have a few projects at the moment. Could I get back to you in a couple weeks?" He was like, "Yeah, of course. You just let me know." And it was like maybe a month later, which I feel horrible about. But like I just, I just quit eddsworld, and I was kind of I was quitting eddsworld because like I felt like I had done everything I wanted to do on the show, and I was like, I'm looking for like a new adventure. And then I remembered like, oh, James, that's right. So like I DM'd him and I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry it's been this long. If the position's still available, like let me know, because I'd still be down." I was thinking, oh, he's not going to respond. Like I think it was like 5 minutes later, he was like, all capital letters, like, yes, what's your Discord? And then, what was it? We get on call an hour later, and he's like, oh, is that the DavidToons? I'm like, you can't say that, dude, when you're literally, like, you're the odd ones out. What are you doing to me, dude?
It's like, you can't say, your shit. You can't say I'm the DavidToons when you're the odd ones out. I mean...
Yeah. Oh god. But then on call he like had mentioned how he had known my work through like Pokemon, and from there he was like, yeah, you're a good animator, let's give you a test. And initially I was meant to do like a full test from like rough animation to cleanup, but I sent in my rough test like so midway through the test, and it was like, yeah, you're hired. I was like, what? You don't want me to finish it? And it was like, no, you're hired.
It's like when they know they have struck gold, they're gonna stick with that gold.
Yeah, and I mean, so at that point, it was like, it was a good transition from like going from Eddsworld and the Amazing at that time to like, the Odd Ones Out and like Hell of a Boss. It was like new venture, because I had worked with both those guys full time, Mars and Eddsworld for would have been like 2 or 3 years. So I was really just looking for a new creative endeavor, and then, these 2 new guys came out of nowhere, and I felt that passion again. And then Ice Cream Sandwich came along.
Yeah, that was the next one I was going to also bring up as well, because that's another fantastic storytime animator that I am a huge fan of and would love to get the opportunity to chat to as well. There are so many people I just want to talk to on this podcast. What are you, like, an animation podcast or something? Well, more like an art enthusiast podcast, but like animators are a part of that. But yeah. How did Andy, aka Ice Cream Sandwich, become a part of your realm as well? Like, how did you get involved with working on his stuff?
Well, that wonderful man, I love the construction happening. I'm so sorry.
No, you're perfectly good, man. You're perfectly good.
But that guy, it was like, I have always loved his work, and I knew that he was never going to have a team at that point, because he was doing all his animations himself for so many years. And that, you want to talk about workaholics, that man is a workaholic and loves his job. So I don't know, it was like, after getting hired by James and having the workload of Helliver and James stuff, I was like, okay, like, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take on any more work for now. I'm done. And then he slid into my DMs, legit, and was like, hey, love your stuff. Do you want to join my team? And I was like, this was maybe a day later after I had told my friends this, like, I'm done with finding new clients. And then I was like, God damn it, yes, I really want to join your team.
Just when I thought I was out, you bring me back in.
Legit. But yeah, no, so I joined. I was one of the first few animators on his team, alongside Abnormal Chaos and a few other animators that I'd known from the Storytime like scene, I guess. So yeah, I feel like Andy's stuff was something I could really easily jump into, because it's like his style is simple, but it's also really goofy. I was like, I feel like I can relate to that so much. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, honestly, you nailed it on the head. Yeah. Speaking of construction, you definitely nailed it on the head when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I mean, like, especially the way that Andy like tells the story, but also like just how weird, simple, and yet goofy he like, plays up the scenarios or whatnot, whether it be just like the simple stuff with like the dog, or like the talking about like the different kind of foods you can get like a county fair, or like the one random scenes where it's like, he's on the floor and people are just like, patting him or slapping him, and just like
yeah.
and now for you to get an opportunity to work with that kind of stuff and really get to help bring some of those ideas to life like that, just thinking about like just those like the holy trinity that you have right now of the Helliverse, Odd Ones Out, and Ice Cream Sandwich, that's gotta be surreal, the fact that you got a hand in 3 different but yet 3 very unique properties like that.
Oh yeah, no, it's honestly, I keep telling people it's a good, I don't know, like having 3 different productions, it's a lot, but it's also good. It's a good middle ground, because like Hell of a Bus, as much as I love the show, it like you had mentioned earlier, the designs are certainly something. I don't know. They're very time consuming, and so like I find that having these other two clients is a really good opportunity to like, if I need a break from Hell of a Boss, I'll jump to James's work, and if I need a break from James's work, I'll jump to Andy's, and then it's just like the cycle of life. It just keeps going around and around of like, if I need a break from Andy's work and I want more of a challenge, I'm like, screw it, back to Hell of a. So yeah, no, it's also like, it's fascinating to see because like, Spindlehorse is obviously this massive production with so many people, and then I jumped to James's team, which is like he's definitely still got a large amount of people on his team, but it's not as big as like Spindlehorse Studio. And then like Andy's team is like 5 people coming together. It's like, yeah, let's animate something. So it's a lot of fun to have those 3 different various teams.
It's like working with like, obviously they're all independent or whatnot, but it's like working for a major studio, working for an independent studio, and then passion project with your buddies. Like that's kind of the weird trinity when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And with Andy's stuff, it really does feel like that, because there would just be some instances where, it's not like he sets it like he'll just be like, hey, let's work on this video, and I find myself a lot of times with his productions, just it's kind of a back and forth with him and I, where I'm like, hey, here's this scene. This looks good. Let's change this up. It just like, it doesn't feel like I'm working for a job. It really just feels like, hey, 2 guys working on a thing. So yeah, no, it's wonderful.
That honestly sounds like a lot of fun when it comes to that stuff. Now let's put the 3 together. Which one's the best boss to work? No, I'm joking. I'm not going to do that to you. But, no, but I do at least want to ask, whether it be from those big 3 or even some of the previous experiences, like you talk about, Maz or Tomska or Eddsworld and stuff like that. Do you have a particular favorite like moment or a very particular favorite scene? You can go like one of each one, or if there's one that like rises above the rest, but it's like, is there one that you looking back on, like the hand you were able to have on it or whatnot, like you were just more or less impressed, or you're proud, or it's just really cool to see that you got a chance to animate like this little bit, or animate like that little moment, or this scene, or it was just hilarious, whatnot?
Yeah, I like you said, like man, I'm trying to think. Like, I honestly, in terms of favorite project, like favorite scene, I guess I got to work on, one that I look back on quite fondly is when I worked on Eddsworld's Beaster Bunny, because like you want to talk about projects that kind of feel like just friends coming together. That production really felt like that, and I still remember, what was it? We had this production meeting with. We had this production meeting, and we were like looking at how many scenes were done, and we're like, okay, so we need a bit more time on this episode, so we'll obviously give an extension. We're not gonna try and get this episode out by like Easter. And then all the Eddsworld animators kind of came together, and we're like, no, we're gonna just like sit and work all night. Like, and it wasn't like a crunch time thing. It was more just like, we hopped in call for like 48, 72 hours or whatever, and just like sat and animated and chat and shared memes to one another. And those are my favorite kind of productions, where it's like, you don't feel the pressure of like a deadline. It's more just like, we're all just hanging out, we're all animating, we're getting each other's second opinions, like streaming our scenes or whatever. And I think it was and even like one of our animator friends on Beaster Bunny, Fliglabar, was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed, but I'm gonna just keep my camera on so like you guys can wake me up in an hour. And we're like, no, set an alarm. And he was like, all right, he like sent it, Wayne had sent it to me. He was like, here's my phone number. I was like, I'm from Australia, I'm not making that call. He was like, all right, good night. Just, oh yeah. And then what was it? Like, I think like we couldn't wake him up after the hour, so we're like, we'll just let him sleep in then. So like but we kept occasionally being like, Wayne, wake up, the episode's coming out. Like, nothing would get it up. No,
oh my goodness, I love the love and the dedication of a crew like that, like dedicating themselves to like getting this thing out, like not because they had to, but because they wanted to make sure it comes out at a good appropriate time. And hearing obviously like the environment of that, like that sounds like just a fun environment to work in, no matter what the occupation is.
Yeah, no, for sure. But other than that, like there's obviously like you had said, there's like certain bits and bobs from various productions that I'm most proud of. But really, it's just like nowadays, it's like I think the scenes that I'm most proud of are the ones that I like probably worked the longest on. So like when I look at a scene from like Hell of a Boss, for instance, I'll like see the scene and I'll be like, oh, that's right, I watched like this Jerema VOD while I was animating the whole thing. And I'm like, I look fondly back on that because that was a good VOD,
Is that how you like? Is that your reference of time these days or whatnot? Like
nowadays, yes.
I was like, how long did it take me to work on this scene? Oh, it took me 2 Jerema VODs. Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, pretty much. Like there was this what is it? There's this one Fizzaroli scene I worked on of like him jumping and bouncing around, and like everyone's like, oh, the animation like is so impressive. Like, you must have spent a lot of time on that. I'm like, I watched the entire Boys, like, the Boys season 1 to 3 while animating that. I'm fondly back on that. And they're like, but what about the animation? I'm like, yeah, I really enjoyed the Boys. It's like, okay.
What do you remember from the animation? Man, Homelander was just savage. I mean, I don't know.
Homelander is fucking crazy.
But what about, like, how'd you do this kind of scene right here? Well, you see, I feel like A-Train gets a lot more hate than he deserves.
Oh, like this one. Yeah, I was watching Vinny Vine, so it's really funny guy,
Let's see, what was I doing for that one? Oh yeah, I was watching freaking Cold Ones just absolutely destroy YouTuber products. Like,
actually, what was it? In terms of like first animation clients, I keep forgetting that like Cold Ones was technically my first animation client because I don't really talk about that one because I keep forgetting about it. But like, what was it? It was like while I was in college, they were looking for animators, and I think everyone who responded to the tweet were like Max Mofo and Anything for Views fans, so they were just sending memes. And I was the only real applicant.
No, there you go.
Yeah, you got the job. So thanks to Cold Ones, they were the first guys to really give me a paid animation opportunity. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Shout out to Cold Ones. Those guys are super cool, and hopefully I can blow up to the point to where I could be at least featured on one of their episodes.
Damn right. Podcast within a podcast.
Don't tease me. I'd be down for that shit. Do you realize how many podcast hosts I've had on this podcast alone?
Dude, I mean, I think like you're definitely getting towards it. Like I said, I've been watching your podcast while animating, talking about like content that I listen to, definitely the podcast as well. And I do hope that Max and Chad would be down for that one day.
So how long did it take you to animate this little ice cream sandwich bit? Oh, that was let's see, how long did that take? I think that was the Maxwell Adams episode of the Postmodern Art Podcast. Yeah, that seems about right.
yeah. Oh, that's like, people ask me like, oh, how many hours? I'm like, yeah, just watch this 2 times. That's how long it took me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that little more perception of time or whatnot. Asking all these, like, hearing about all these different opportunities they've been able to have or whatnot, and like, whether in the past or what you get to currently get a chance to work on and whatnot, it makes me curious, like, is there any sort of YouTuber or even any sort of project or even anything that you personally would like to get up and running on your own? Is there anything that you aspire to do at this point? Like when it comes to like your animations, like is there anyone you would love to get a chance to like say you did an animated segment for, or is there a or is there like a project you've kind of been like stewing on for years that you'd love to potentially get the opportunity to bring out to the world, or
Yeah. I think like for years I've had that motivation of like, oh, I'd love to work with this person one day, and like not saying that it always would happen, but there were a few instances of like that happening. And I think working with all these clients over the years, as amazing as it's been, I think my next creative like goal is to do something in either lead animation or like directing.
Okay.
I just like I don't know what it'd be yet. That's the thing. I'm just like I see animation directors or like lead artists, and I'm like, oh, the amount of like responsibility for that. I don't know. Over the years, I've had much more interest in like management roles, so like production management, for instance. I was a social media manager for eddsworld for a couple years, so I think that's where it might have come from. But yeah, that's definitely the next goal. In terms of shows, I mean, my whole thing is like, I've had people that say like I'm like an SCP that just keeps showing up in various indie projects. So like I've got my eye on you like a daisy. I've been on all the indie shows like a daisy. I'm like Jaws the shark, he's coming.
I mean, if nothing else, like, let's be honest, like, especially for you, especially since you've accepted the term that you are indeed a furry, what better show to work on than a show like Lackadaisy? Just saying. I mean... Damn
right. Yeah. Gotta get on the furry indie shows now. That's the next goal.
There you go.
I've done eddsworld, I've done, yeah.
Is eddsworld considered a furry show?
No, I just mean like I've done all the human indie shows like eddsworld.
Yeah.
You got like Monkey Wrench, etc. I'm like now I'm reaching out for the furry shows. That's the next one I'm going to.
I forgot to write down Monkey Wrench because I forgot you had a hand in some of the episodes when it comes to that. That had to be a cool experience working in that world more than anything else.
Oh, with Zarel, I'm just like, oh my god, like because you want to talk about like crazy animators, like Zarel is one, and watching his creative process. I still remember on the last episode there were these. Like I was given a handful of scenes, and there were like I think there were like 3 scenes that I couldn't get done because of other projects. So I like messaged him. I was like, "Hey, sorry, I can't get this done." And he was like, "Oh, no worries, I'll take care of it." I was like, "You're not mad?" And then like a couple hours later, I get a message. No, because I'm already done with them. Like, how fast are you, dude? Holy shit!
You talk about Andy having an insane work ethic. Like, look at Zarel. I mean,
yeah. Oh, dude. Gotta get those two together.
Yeah, no joke. Like, oh god, those two working together, they would get animations done within like the blink of an eye. Like that.
Yeah. A full team? No, we just need 2. We
just need Zarel. We need Ice Cream Sandwich. Get those 2 together. Oh my god, we have all the animation features we need for like 20 years.
Yeah, for real.
I looked away for 5 seconds.
How long did this take you? 2 minutes of a Jerema VOD. Like what? Oh my god.
Oh, there you go. Although I was gonna say, you talk about like furry stuff or whatnot. Wouldn't it be another cool full circle moment if you got a chance, the opportunity to work on something Pokemon animated, like official Pokemon animated?
Oh god, I like again. It's kind of similar to how I saw Has Been in 2018, 2019. I was like, that's a cool show, but that's probably something I will never get to work on. I'm just looking at Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, that's probably something that like I'm not saying will never happen, but like 20 years down the line, I'm not like looking to do it right away. Right. But
I mean, hey,
yeah, no, that's the next goal.
There you go. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of next goals and speaking of next potential opportunities, if I may, how about for this next question, we just go above and beyond, David, and I give you more or less the dream scenario. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I get to come to you and like, look, David, we've seen the cool stuff you've been able to do, like all the different projects you've had a hand in over the years, and we are nothing short of impressed. We think there's so much more you can do. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than should be possible. We really should be compensating the animators that are currently, lobbying to try to get a better, contract and stuff when it comes to negotiations and stuff like that. Hashtag stand with animation. Let's get them, healthcare and all the stuff that they need. We'll focus on them in a little bit. I promise. We will. But right now we are focused on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream DavidToons project?
The dream DavidToons project. All right, hear me out. We had a Game Grumps collab with like 50 animators. Let's get 100. No.
So just the Game Grumps animated movie.
Yeah, the Game Grumps movie. No, I mean, that's the thing about me. I've never really had, at least not yet, like any creative original show ideas. So if I had like an unlimited budget, I'd probably just like, I don't know, I'd probably start a studio of my own to, yeah, you know, like, that's actually something I've talked about a few times where people have been like, oh, you know, you've worked with all these, like, you've been a contractor for all these projects. So like, have you ever thought of starting a studio? I can't organize myself, yet alone a team of people. But let's say in this hypothetical, I could, I'd probably use the funding to like, you know, get a team together, give them jobs while also still probably doing like independent film stuff, just anywhere where animators are needed. Right. I'd say that would probably be, as of right now, like the dream idea of like being organized enough to manage a team and have a studio. That'd be fun.
That would sound like a lot of fun more than anything else.
Yeah. Every animator needs to listen to Jerema as like that's our rule. Yeah.
just call it Jerma VOD Studios. That's what. Like he can't.
People like, oh, what was your paycheck this week? Oh, I watched Jeremy play Five Nights at Freddy's like 10 times. You know, like so that's how much I got paid. It's like okay, so 5 out.
I was like, oh, so you're looking for a raise? I see what you're doing.
All right, we're getting onto you onto queso live streams now as well. That's your promotion, you know. 2 streams at once.
I'll say you keep up this rate, we might eventually get you to a Ludwig stream.
That would be insane.
But sadly, we need to get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years from now, I might like very broad, but just like I hope that in 5 to 10 years, I'm still passionate about animation. I'm still happy. And with like the projects I'm working on, and whether that be animation or not, as long as I'm like passionate in that field, that's all that matters to me. You know, like you know, animation is a hard gig, and I think that, you know, if I decide one day to just go into doing just art or, you know, production management and probably just like any creative field in 5 to 10 years from now, I love the hammer coming right through my ceiling. What timing?
I was gonna say that's why I love to dunk dunk.
Yeah. But yeah, very simple dream, I guess, of like where I see myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's it's very simple. I didn't say it had to be, super extravagant, like you have to reach for the stars. Like if you're just comfortable where you are and you get the opportunity to continue doing what you love, like that should be the dream. That should be what you aspire for. I mean, that's what got you up to this point, right?
Yeah, damn right. So keep doing what you love no matter what it is.
Exactly. As we start to wind down the interview, I just have one last question I want to ask you, David. Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art at this point. Like you said, you've been at this like well over 10 years at this point. Like what, starting with that initial love for it and then actually dedicating yourself to this kind of stuff. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
No, don't apologize. This is funny. This is good. It's good. It's good content, people. No,
it's good content. People will be like, oh, 20 minutes and 10 seconds. I loved this bit where I heard the hammer in the ceiling. Anyways, sorry, go on.
But yeah, again, you've been dedicating yourself to this for years now at this point. Mm-hmm. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
I think, like, in terms of animation, for me, I look back quite fondly to, when I was like 12, 13, etc. and like how important animations were for me back then. I didn't have many friends, so like animations filled the hole for me. And I know that there are still people like that who probably have a similar situation. So I don't know, just makes me happy knowing that like I can contribute to some of these animations that like teenagers or kids, etc., can like watch and fill the hole. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't fit into school. Someone who didn't fit into school their entire 12 years. So that's probably what keeps me going, doing this whole animation thing, knowing that like I'm inspiring, I'm helping be part of like someone's inspiration for them to also be an artist one day. And I think it's like it's a cool cycle to constantly do. We looked back at animators from like early 2000s, 90s, and this new generation of kids are, they're still looking back at those old movies as well, but they're looking at like things now as well, and that it's a part of their inspiration. I think, yeah, no, that's hell yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Well, thank you.
David, that is all the questions I have for you. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise, but I'm gonna shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what the fuck I want. I cannot tell you how excited I have been to actually have this conversation. Ever since you reached out to me and said that, like, hey, good stuff with what you're doing, and I'd love to get the opportunity to chat, because I knew you were a talented animator from the start. There was no denying that, especially seeing the stuff that you've been able to have a hand in. It's not like you were tossed these opportunities out of nowhere. Like, you worked hard for these opportunities. I can certainly tell, like, the more we got a chance to talk, you talked about how you had initially felt like the weird kid, and yet these animations really gave you like a special place, a special home, which is something I can easily relate to, because I know for me growing up, I was one of the weird ones growing up. And so to have like the opportunities to talk about, like, we talked about like the Dick figures or Vanoss Gaming or all this, stuff like that, and seeing how that was a bedrock for kind of the artist that you would eventually develop to become, getting an opportunity to work with some of these incredible animators, some of which that made you feel that special place at home, now giving you basically your new home, really comfortably in this animation realm. It's really cool, and it's really aspiring more than anything else. Like, I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear that you've gotten these opportunities. You've gotten a chance to work with some of the most beloved YouTubers, or some of the most incredible IPs out there today. And the fact that, again, relatively speaking, you've only been really doing this animation stuff for about 10 years or so. The fact that you've got so many cool opportunities up to this point, it leads me to wonder and get excited, wondering what's going to be next, where you're going to be 10, 20, 50 years down the line, what other opportunities can be, you can have a chance to work on, because I can tell with the incredible work you've been able to produce so far, you've got so much, you got so much talent, so much, so much incredible enthusiasm for this stuff. And I can only imagine, like, if you keep up that good positivity that you seem to have, and really keep up that enthusiasm, it's going to take you places, and I'm excited to see where you're going to be able to go with that. The long and the short of it, David, I'll say the long and short of it, David, is thank you for what you do. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there, and thank you so much for taking the time to help out with such incredible things, because it certainly has not gone unnoticed, and I will tell you that first and foremost. Like, people can absolutely see the amazing work you've been able to put in this kind of stuff, and I cannot tell you how excited the hundreds, thousands, and who knows however many more that have gotten a chance to see your stuff and see where you could potentially go from there. Thank you so much, man.
Dude, oh my god, you are so sweet. Thank you. And shout out to the weird ones. We're all weird ones, but like, we're awesome for it. So hell yeah. Thank you again for having me on today, man. I
know, absolutely.
It was an honor.
The honor and the pleasure is all mine, trust me. Now, if people want to know why exactly I have been gushing about your work for, I don't know, a good hour and a half, however long we've been recording it at this point, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
All right. Well, if you look up DavidToons pretty much anywhere, everyone's moving to Blue Sky. So I'm on there, Instagram, YouTube, and any of your favorite indie shows. I've probably worked on, but mostly, check out Eddsworld, Hell of a Boss, and yeah, just keep supporting indie animation. That's how you can find me, really.
Absolutely. And if you missed any links, I'm sure they had them in the description below. I got you covered. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
final words. Let's go indie animation. Let's keep fighting for a good contract for the animation union, and just like Danny says, be cool as fuck on the inside, but also be weird on the inside. Embrace that. We're all out here, dude.
Hell yes, that is wonderfully worded. Wow, words. I had it, that I lost it. God damn it. No, that was wonderfully worded. And with that, all I have left to say is, for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
Damn right.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can open. Show me it all, put me up in the car, you go when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. David was just an absolute blast to chat with. He is someone that I feel like anyone could talk to him and he will instantly become your friend. David, if you've gotten to this point, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was an absolute blast of a conversation. I can't wait to see not only what you got to do next, but what opportunities just get to come your way. Like with interviews like this and the interviews that I got planned for you guys, like, this is honestly a really exciting time of the year. Trust me, given with how the past month or so has been, I feel like the end of the year we're gonna finish strong. I mean, I got some fantastic interviews lined up for you guys. I got some good quality time lined up for family and such. I have some great stuff for you guys. If you're listening to this the day that it releases, which will be American Thanksgiving on Thursday morning, keep an eye for the socials and Blue Sky, because I might have some merch dropping on Black Friday with a miniature, not so big, but still a bit of a sale going on. Just saying, just keep an eye on the Blue Sky stuff, that kind of stuff. Anyways, look, I'll just say, as dark and foreboding that the future may seem on certain aspects or whatnot, I'm gonna be taking it one day at a time, because that's all I really can do. And some days are gonna be better than others, but at least for the time being, I'm at least excited for the next month. Anything past that, well, it's all up in the air, but that's kind of how life goes. You can never really predict how life is going to work, for better or for worse. Trust me, if you had told me 6 months ago where I'd be right now, I would have laughed my ass off. It's been wild, guys. It's for better or for worse. And if you know, you know. But I will certainly say that it's been a wild year so far. And the fact that we're really getting into the last month of it, I'm both excited and scared for the future. And I imagine for you, some of y'all would be like, oh yeah, understandably so. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to embrace whatever life throws my way. It doesn't mean I'm not going to cower and wait for stuff to happen. I'm still going to do what I can. Make every day a good day as best as I can. Like I said, just one day at a time. One day at a time. I hope you guys, whatever you are going through, whether it's good, whether it's bad, if you're struggling or whether you're striving, I hope that you guys are able to live the best life that you can and take things one day at a time. You guys deserve every single day. Every single day.